Am I the a-hole for refusing to help out with child's funeral expenses? My ex-wife lost her son recently, who was 13. I'm not sure of the full details, but only that she's struggling with paying for the funeral. He's not my biological son, but for the first 5 months of his life, I thought he was. My wife had been awfully secretive, and I started to have my doubts when I learned she was having an affair. Apparently, the affair partner I caught her with was not even the father. We had a paternity test done to prove that, and neither was I. Tried to see if at least being in the boy's life would be a possibility, but ultimately it was too painful and I couldn't cope with the rage and hatred. We divorced. The only thing that kept me attached to either of them was the child support payments because she conveniently never looked for his biological father. My ex called my office recently wanting to talk and brought this whole thing up. I wanted to say so many things to her, but managed to at least tell her my condolences for her loss. But there's no way I'm going to help pay for all that even if she's struggling financially. She could set up a GoFundMe or do some fundraiser to make money, but do not ask me to pay more than what I've already had to. The conversation was going nowhere since she wouldn't stop begging me to change my mind. I hung up. Next in line to call was my mom. She's the only one in the family who stayed in her son's life, and I was fine with that as long as she didn't bother me with it. My mom's helping to pay for some of the expenses too, but she's asking me to please have a heart because he was my child at some period. And even if my ex doesn't deserve it, find it in me to do it anyways. I repeated what I told my ex, then reminded her that I'm currently expecting a child with my fiancé, and not going to waste thousands of dollars on a kid that wasn't mine in the end, when that's up to my ex to figure out. She's mad at me now, of course. So is my ex, who decided to blast the situation online. She made a post asking for donations since I'm refusing to help contribute, and specifically mentioned me so others are aware. My family is divided in this. Majority believe I'm in the right, but the ones against it are being more vocal about it, and feel I am in a way being an A because she's a mother who just lost her son. Having a hard time seeing it that way, so that's why I'd like to ask here. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Wanted to add since some are asking. Yes, the child support was for him. That was the decision the court made in the end since I had been playing an active role in his life as a dad for months, and since I'm listed on the birth certificate as his father. Paternity test says otherwise, but in the end it didn't matter. Just wanted to clarify. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Sure, she has lost her son, and that's a horrible situation to be in. However, you are not responsible for the place she found herself in. From your story, it seems like you paid 13 years of child support for a kid who was not yours. That's already a lot. Not the a-hole. If she's blasting you online, you would be justified in making your own post detailing how she betrayed and deceived you, and how this wasn't your child. I've thought about that, but I'm not sure if I want to get further involved in this situation than I already am. Everyone knows she cheated. They all know her son wasn't mine, and that I wasn't involved since. OP, follow your instincts and don't make a post. There's no situation where you put a grieving mother on blast and look like the good guy. Not the a-hole. You spent 13 years paying child support for a child that wasn't yours. I think you've paid your share. Anyone who thinks you should pay has the ability to open their wallet and make a contribution themselves. This right here. OP has no more responsibility or investment in this situation than literally anyone else on this planet. Anyone saying OP should pay needs to open their wallets and contribute first. Charity starts at home. Nobody will though. Funny how quick people are to try and spend somebody else's money for them. Not the a-hole. Did I read this correctly? You were paying child support even though a paternity test showed you were not the father. My heart goes out to anyone who has lost a child. But you have no legal or moral obligation to help pay for anything. And for her to put you on blast for it is not right. She's grieving, so please don't let it get to you. I would not engage her or anyone in any further conversations about this other than to state you are not the child's father and have no obligation to the situation. And if they feel so strongly about it, they can help her pay for it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for calling my mother out on social media for the real reason she didn't go to my sister's funeral? So last year, my 30 female sister 40 passed away suddenly, and because of the pandemic, we were limited to the number of people we could invite to the funeral. And as my sister's next of kin, the decision fell to me to choose who would come. We both went no contact with our mother when we moved out because of how she mistreated us, but I kept her on Facebook in case of family emergencies. So I informed her of my sister's death and that she wasn't invited to the funeral. It was a unanimous decision with the rest of the family that she wasn't to come, not just me. Now fast forward to yesterday, and I was scrolling through Facebook. It was the anniversary yesterday, and on my mother's wall was a post about how it was a shame she couldn't go to my sister's funeral. But because she was high risk, she decided not to go and allow someone else to go instead. I saw red and replied to the post about how she was lying and that she wasn't invited because of what she did to us, and that my sister wouldn't have wanted her there anyway, and not because she was high risk as she said. Her husband messaged me this morning saying I was a nahal, and now my mother is getting ostracized and her friends are ignoring her, and that I could have asked to take the post down in the PMs instead of being public. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She made the thing public. Your response was in the same forum. Virtue signaling for sympathy to play the victim when she was in fact the abuser is just a continuation of the same behavior. That's the risk you take for internet karma when you make fake sympathy posts. Someone will call you out on it. Oh no. Your mother posted, expecting sympathy likes, playing the selfless grieving parent, and you shot her down in flames? Bravo. It seems like she's been lying to her friends. It has been exposed by her own arrogance. Not the a-hole. I'm sorry about your sister. I hope you're doing okay. I was in a bad place yesterday. Also realized I shouldn't have gone on Facebook, but lessons learned. I'm doing better though. I've calmed down now and feeling better. You returned pain to sender. Well done. Let her keep it, and you can breathe again. My condolences. Not the a-hole, just not the a-hole. She mistreated you guys, then lied on Facebook about not being able to come because she's high risk. Not the a-hole. She knows you are friends on Facebook, so you have a chance to see her lies. She wants to lie and play stupid games. She gets to win the stupid prizes. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for snapping back at my stepsister when she asked if I was going to name my daughter after her grandma? I, 26 female, am not close to my step-family. I have a good relationship with my mom, but that's about it. I have 3 step-siblings. Kate, 26 female, Peter, 24 male, and Laura, 18 female. The reason I say I'm not close to them is I'm not close to any of them and never was. Their grandma / my stepfather's mother died a couple of years ago, and they were all very close to her, and Kate was especially so. I'm 6 months pregnant with a girl, announced on Facebook for all those not close to us a week ago. Said we had a name and would not be revealing in the comments in response to someone. 2 days after the post, Kate and I are at my mom at her dad's house, where she comes up to me all annoyed and says, "I'm not naming my kid after her grandmother, am I?" This came out of nowhere. Not one word spoken in 20 minutes beforehand, and then she throws that at me like I gave any indication that I was naming her after the woman. I snapped back, why would I name my child after her stepsister's grandmother? That she had no reason to think I would ever do that. Curious saying, good. It's not your name to use. And then my stepfather getting pissed that I would talk to his daughter like that, but mostly say what I did about his mom. He seems to believe I should want to use his mom's name for my kid. My mom told them there was no need to fight about this, and she and I weren't close, so it makes sense I wouldn't think of using the name. He still thinks I'm a prick though. My stepfather asked me to apologize for disrespecting his family, but especially his daughter and mother. And Kate is now posting on social media that I rudely rejected their family. Coming from the girl who has nothing to do with Laura because they're not full sisters. But that's beside the point. I just find it hypocritical. Am I the a-hole for how I responded? Now for the comments. The reason I say I'm not close to them is I am not close to any of them. Thank you for clearing that up. Not the a-hole. That's my favorite part. Not the a-hole, Opie. You matched her tone and they got mad. Stepsister and prompted. You better not be using my grandma's name. You have no right. Opie. Lol, why the hell would I use your grandma's name? Stepdad. The disrespect. How can you not want to use the name we don't want you to use? Not the a-hole. They seem mad they can't deny you something. Like they wanted to be able to tell you no. Lol, right? There was no winning here. Either she starts World War III by considering the name, or she deeply wounds the entire Stepp family by not considering it. No wonder they are not close, because they are not close. They are difficult because they are difficult. Good grief. Huge not a-hole. I'm not sure when your mother remarried, but it seems like Kate's father never even made an attempt to try and connect with you. He should get over himself and his high-mindedness. You don't have to apologize for answering Kate's question, and if he should be mad at anyone, it should be at her for asking. Since I was 9, I think. I know that's how long we've been in each other's lives, but honestly, we were never exactly family. Wow, that's earlier than I thought. From what I read, I would have assumed it was an extremely late marriage after you'd been grown up. He's hugely the a-hole and doesn't see you as family, just as an old roommate or something. He has no right, especially since Kate asked you an invasive question that you already said you wouldn't tell the name till the baby was born. They need to get over themselves. Yeah, a lot of people assume things were a certain way because of the dynamics. They assume my mom married her husband when we were all older because of the lack of family, anything between us. They assume Kate and Peter were raised in a different household to Laura because you would never realize they're siblings. They have no relationship, but that's just the way things have always been. I'm still not sure why she thought I would ever name my child after her grandmother. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my wife if she insists that my sister move out, I won't defend her or her choice? I, 34 male, am married with 2 kids, 3 female and 3 female. And over the past year, my sister Amy, 19 female, has been living with me and my wife, Leah, 36 female, because of the pandemic. My parents live in another state, and the only reason they felt comfortable with Amy going to college out of state was because my wife and I promised to be there for her in case of trouble. After the shutdown, Amy moved in with us, and eventually decided to take some time off because she felt too stressed out. Initially, Leia seemed fine with that because Amy got a job and started helping around the house. Examples: doing all the laundry, cleaning the living room, doing the grocery shopping, paying for the groceries, cooking breakfast 4 days a week, cooking dinner 3 days a week, cleaning the kitchen, vacuuming, and babysitting so long as we gave her 48-hour notice. Amy did all of this to show how grateful she was to us, and because she wasn't paying rent. After Amy got a job, I sat down with her and worked out budgeting system with her, so once she went back to school, she could put her money towards college expenses. She rarely buys any luxuries for herself, and asks me to double-check her finances regularly so I know she's not just blowing it. I thought everything was great, until Leia told me that she wanted Amy out. When I inquired why, she at first didn't give a real reason for me to support it. And then I found out that Leia's cousin got a new job near where we lived and needed a place to stay, and would offer to pay us rent until they got their own place. Leia feels like Amy has stayed long enough, and wants someone who can offer financial contribution. I told her that I didn't support this decision, and would not be kicking my baby sister out when she's putting in the work to better herself. I was upset, and said that if she wanted Amy out, then she'd have to tell her herself, but warned her that my parents would see her as greedy and not expect me to defend her. Now Leia isn't talking to me, and after a couple of days I need to ask, am I the a-hole? Edited to add. Forgot to add, sorry. But yes, I did run Amy paying rent by Leia as a compromise. However, Amy barely makes above minimum wage, and even if she factored in paying rent, it wouldn't be nearly as much as what Leia's cousin is offering. Also, it hasn't been explicitly said, but it looks like Leia's cousin will pay rent but not help around the house. At most, just clean up after themselves. Not the a-hole. Your sister was not leeching. In fact, she contributed a lot to the household by doing all the chores you listed. It might cost way more to hire someone to do all that for you than your wife's cousin would potentially pay in rent. So financial argument is sort of invalid. Exactly. Unless the cousin is going to be paying enough rent to cover the house payment, or the entire rent payment if Opie's renting, then they will be worse off if Amy's told to go. All the stuff she's doing is allowing Leia to get a nice break from all that stuff. I would let Amy live with me rent-free too, if she was doing all that and I don't even have small kids for babysitting duty. Not the a-hole. Also make sure she knows that if she kicks out your sister, that you won't allow her cousin to move in. If she tries to argue that this is her house too, then respond exactly. It's our house. Neither of us gets unilateral control over what happens. If you have the right to nix my sister staying here, then I have the right to nix your cousin staying here. This right here. I really hope more people see this comment. It's not right for her to be able to make those kinds of decisions on her own. If she doesn't want a sister, great. But if he doesn't want a cousin to live there, then they can't. They both have to agree on who lives in their house, not just her. If she can veto someone, he can too. Not Day-Hall. Your wife is committing familial harakiri. Absolutely not. She will alienate your whole family forever over a few bucks. Just no. Not Day-Hall. You're not even straight up telling her no. You're saying that if she makes this decision, she has to face the consequences. What did she think would happen otherwise? That you'd somehow talk your family down and convince them that she made the right choice?